At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Sean Elliott, head coach of the Georgia State Football Panthers. You're listening to the Fun Belt Podcast.
If you didn't know before, now you know why they call this the Fun Belt.
Very excited about the Sun Belt.
You know, while other conferences have been breaking up, our conference has become stronger.
The state of Sun Belt football is the strongest in our history.
I saw Fun Belt Conference, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I got to join the show. It sounds a lot of fun.
Fun Belt Podcast, we have finally reached the opening week of football in Sun Belt Conference. Dusty Thibodeaux, Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Hellraiser, Sean Mettlen. We're changing his name.
Now Sean Mettlen, I like it.
I'm used to that.
Of the Daily Record News, as just to keep it all mixed up for Jeremy and for everyone else.
Yes.
I like Daily Record News better too. We should do that. Let me talk to our editor, Sean.
Jeremy hears that and will never identify me correctly again.
Ever. But guys, look, as we reach week one in Sunbelt Conference, we did have some games not Sunbelt related this past weekend. Did y'all get a chance to take anything in? Anything that y'all saw that y'all liked out of the new rules? Any teams that stood out to you or anything else?
Well, you know what? I saw a lot of complaining, like on the Twitters, about the new running clock on first down.
Not a fan of the running clock.
I'm still kind of I don't know if I'm a fan either, Tibbs, but I'm going to keep an open mind for a couple more weeks because I do like ideas that keep the game moving. I don't know if this is the right thing to keep the game moving. Personally, I would slash halftime in half, but I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
I'm with you that I need some more time with it. The handful of games on Saturday wasn't enough for me to get a real good grasp on what it's going to be like. I generally speaking, I think stuff that moves things along and keeps people from tuning out after 2 hours is probably good. But yeah, I don't know if this is the right way to go about it. Well, time will tell.
I get it for player safety is what they say, to shorten the game, less collisions on the field. I just don't like that we're already moving to a pay for play and professional ranks type where these are no longer amateurs, but now we're essentially adopting NFL rules for college football.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can see where you're coming from there. You like the specialness that makes college football special, and we're scrubbing it away. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I don't think D3 went to this yet. They were kind of told this is a new rule and came up with their own decision to not join it yet. So it is kind of interesting that you talk about it kind of being a minor league professional move for college football to go this way because,
Yeah, I didn't look at it that way. But, I think one reason why Division III doesn't have to do this, we get all these stupid media timeouts, and it just totally disrupts the flow. I wonder if maybe the way that this running clock on first time helps that. I don't know. But Tibbs, you seem to be in the majority when it comes to people online complaining. They didn't like it. So we'll just have to see, I guess.
Didn't like it. It was very interesting. One of the first games that I saw was that Jacksonville State versus UTEP. Great Conference USA matchup there. Regional rivalries at its finest. The Gamecocks really struggled to kind of go with that up tempo like Rich Rod really likes to have there because of the running clock. It just really murdered any kind of momentum that you saw there. The other thing I didn't like, it seemed like over half of ULM's roster was being called out for the Gamecocks of playing there.
Yes, that must have been hard to endure. You know what, Tibbs, like the new rule for baseball with the clock on the pitchers and the batters. I think there's some grumbling at the beginning of the year for that. Now people are saying it's saving baseball. The attendance is up, games are shorter. Maybe this will find. Maybe we'll warm up to this. Rich Rod will figure out how to keep his tempo going, even without the first with the first running clock on the first down. Maybe it's just about adapting.
Maybe the one complaint that I saw the most was probably that there were games where the team wins the kickoff, wins the flip, or doesn't win the flip, or ever get the ball first, and they have the ball for the entire first quarter. And like they kind of like just own the whole momentum just because of how the coin flip went. And I don't know if there's anything to that or not, but I can kind of see it. But like you said, people want to be able to, like, people were not taking their kids to sporting events. They were not going and spending the whole day at a football game when they can watch 100 football games at home on a 50-inch screen. So maybe this is something that will keep, people wanting to make going to a football game, a baseball game, whatever, a family thing to do.
Speaking of week 0 games, I caught former Sunbelt member, New Mexico State versus Massachusetts, and found myself vastly entertained by that game. Did you guys catch that?
I saw the highlights.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I was, surprised by UMass.
UMass has a quarterback now. Their old quarterback is their tight end. They got this quarterback from, I forget, from some hot shot program that didn't want him anymore. And suddenly they're making plays. They're moving the ball. New Mexico State, they had their moments. I mean, they're both not great football teams. Let's not pretend like they're, top 20 football teams. But they played entertaining football. I was impressed. Maybe UMass might be onto something. I don't know.
I was more impressed with the New Mexico State quarterback getting a pass off with his helmet on backwards.
I did. How did I miss that? Did you see, what was it? It was, somebody from the Mountain West throw that football into that referee's face.
Yes, right in the beak. And then somebody, maybe it was CFB Reddit, added sound effects, which made it even better. The best part in the New Mexico State game, where it was a blatant face mask, his helmet's around backwards, was the ref trying to pull a flag, as in, like, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah, it's a face mask when the whole head turns around, right?
Or it's a bad day to be the quarterback.
I wanted to watch USC versus what's it? San Diego? Was it San Diego State?
San Jose
State.
Was it San? Okay.
Spartans.
Wanted to watch it, but they were on the Pac-12 network, so they get to see that. So I got UMass.
I saw the 3 minutes while I was pumping gas.
Nice. I admit that I caught a little bit of that Irish Navy game, and man, that game just sucked. Navy's just, what was his name? Ken Not-to-Beat. I can never pronounce his last name, but I miss that guy. That guy could coach Navy like no other, and now he's gone. Sad.
While everything was happening on the gridiron,
the
good old Fun Belt was excelling on the pitch. As the women, first of all, had a huge Georgia Southern win over Miami 2-1.
Yeah.
Arkansas State quit against Jackson State. It was actually declared a no contest due to heat index.
Too effing hot.
And your Raging Cajuns, 3-0-1, the best program start in program history. They're one of the several undefeated teams. The Warhawks, 1-0-2. They haven't lost a game yet. And then Southern Miss got their first win of the season, 2-1 over Mississippi Valley State. But Shane, I think the bigger story right there in your backyard, James Madison just going off with a huge win over UCLA in the men's side. And then Central Florida. Yeah, Central Florida, I know, part of the Sun Belt in soccer, beating a nationally ranked Clemson team. We have 4 teams ranked now in the top 25.
Number 2, Kentucky.
Wait, Kentucky is in the Sun Belt?
In men's soccer, they certainly are. Wow. Up from number 3 a week ago. Number 5, Marshall. You knew they were in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, they joined. I remember.
They are up from number 11 previous week. Previously unranked UCF, as Dusty just mentioned, jumps in at number 14 after beating Clemson.
Those clowns at Clemson.
Previously unranked James Madison, now number 17, after beating up on Duquesne and UCLA.
Yes.
Four Sun Belt teams in the top 20, not to mention West Virginia also getting votes. West Virginia is in the Sun Belt in soccer as well. Yeah.
Wait, I need a new press release just to remind me who's in men's Sun Belt soccer.
Men's Sun Belt soccer is a power conference.
Well, no, all right. Who else is it? Georgia State? They're in it too, right?
In soccer?
Yeah, they're in the Sun Belt for soccer,
Yeah.
right? For men's soccer. Okay, all right. I'm trying to remember who
Georgia
else.
State, Georgia Southern, Coastal, and ODU all have soccer teams as well.
And then the last team, winless right now, 0-1-1. The South Carolina Gamecocks also rounding out the Sun Belt men's soccer.
The Gamecocks are in the Sun Belt?
Yes.
Yeah. But first of all, congratulations to James Madison and Marshall, and I guess Kentucky and UCF for breaking into the top 20. That's a huge deal. That's great for the Sun Belt. That was why the Sun Belt said, hey, we need to get men's soccer here, can give us some more exposure, and look what it's done.
Great move bringing the sport back and landing the affiliates that they did to round it out. Looking good. National championship contenders in the Sun Belt, I think, this year.
I still love when Kentucky won the Sun Belt last year in men's soccer, and they handed the trophy, the traditional kind of oval looking Sun Belt trophy. The Kentucky players just kind of looked at it like, this doesn't look like what the football team would get, or basketball. While that was going on the pitch, on the hardwood, not for basketball, but for volleyball, a preview possibly of the week 1 football matchup, South Alabama 3-0 over Tulane. The Raging Cajuns let a 2-0 lead slip at Mississippi State, but rebounded with a early 3-0 sweeping of number 18 Rice.
Yeah, that just happened, right? Didn't that just happen?
That just happened.
Yeah, my Arkansas State ladies, they held a tournament here not here. I'm in Little Rock, but in Jonesboro, won the tournament complete. Had a sweep over Little Rock, but then they also beat North Alabama. So it was like they're a perfect 3-0 now. So it's good to see. I know that Red Wolves volleyball has struggled a little bit. It's good to see them kind of getting back to their winning ways.
That's all we have to recap the weekend. It was an exciting weekend, though, guys.
Yeah, it's eventful. You know what it was? It made me feel like sports are back. Speaking of back,
back on Monday,
the Sun Belt Media, or the Sun Belt Coaches Media Day is back. Is that the right word? It's like a weekly press conference, right? Every week. Yeah. They round up every single one of the Sun Belt coaches on the Zoom, and then they get to answer a few questions from the press, which is something I like to do. I like sitting in. I don't always like having my camera on because I look like hell, like I just got up. I heard Thibodeaux ask a question to head coach at ULM, Terry Bowden. I think Noah Fleischman asked a question. I didn't hear anything from you, Shane. I don't know if you were there or not.
I was muted the whole time. I was working on some other things while I listened.
And here's the thing. I always forget to say my affiliation. I need to start saying Jeremy Harper from the Fun Belt podcast here. I need to know this essential scrap of information. But it was good. I thought Terry Bowden had his camera set like almost like it was on the floor. And he was like this big booming face of God from above, or like just looking down. I thought that was great. I enjoyed that. Charlie Huff decided he wasn't going to show up, left a poorly edited video in its place. I don't know if you guys stuck around for that, but it was a little bit comical. It was like one of these videos where he's just standing there. Like, you could have edited and got to the point, but they didn't even bother with the editing. They just kind of threw up a cell phone video and threw it up there. Tibbs, you were there for most of it. Did you hear anything that was, remotely like insightful?
I love that Will Hall has the North Alabama rivalry trophy there that from when he was a player at North Alabama. He has it in his office in the background of the press conference. He said it's at the office mostly because it's too big and his wife won't let him keep it at home. I thought that was fantastic, and that was my biggest takeaway of the week.
There was a lot of coach speak, but it's week one before the season. You're not going to get just a whole lot of penetrating insight. I think everybody's holding on to their two deeps and their quarterback announcements, but it was good. You know what it was? It was another sign that we're back, right? It was another sign that football is back, that college sports is back. Old men like you and us, we all have something to do now for the next 3 months.
Yes. I did enjoy Kurt Signetti saying he would not name a starter until an hour before kickoff and then turning around the next day and essentially naming his starter. I did get a kick out of that.
Is it that he wilted under pressure? Absolutely not. He's just playing his mind
He
game.
just wants to do the opposite of what you think he's going to do.
I did hear a reporter ask a question. It was like kind of a standard type of question, something like, what do you expect to see out of the game or whatever? And his response was very sardonic in the usual Kurt Signetti way, like, what do I expect to see? I don't know. I guess I expect to see some football. He's just this guy that he doesn't suffer fools, right? So once again, cementing his legacy as the most intimidating coach in the Sun Belt right now, working this way. Tibbs, is there anybody more intimidating than Kurt Signetti right now?
I think when you back him into a corner, I really got to think that Sean Clark at App State, he's got to be more intimidating because he knows that the expectation's high and that he's got to live up to the hype this year, or it might be a kick and rocks type of situation.
You know what? Here's what's funny to me, and I don't know. You might have heard more about this, Shane. Nobody ever says, "Hey, Sean Clark's on the hot seat." Everybody just kind of assumes that he's going to, everything's fine and he's working out. But I hear a lot of grumbling coming out of Boone. Do you think there's some fire there, Shane?
Well, they made lots of changes to the staff, some pretty big ones in the offseason that I think maybe were somewhat thrust upon him. So it might be a case where if that doesn't pay dividends this year, maybe those grumblings about the head coach get a little bit louder. But I think maybe people are willing to wait and see what happens after making some changes in the offseason.
And isn't that always the sign of a coach in trouble when the first step is to start shoveling assistants into the fire and getting new ones? Oh, it must be these assistants. I got to get rid of these guys. It's not me. I don't know. I can think you're right. I think maybe Sean Clark might be feeling that heat a little bit. And that in turn might make him a little intimidating.
Yeah. I don't know. John Summerall hasn't had a whole lot to get angry about in the past year, but I just feel like if he did get upset, he would be the guy I'd be scared of.
Yeah, and we all know that Coach Sean, not Clark, Sean Elliott of Georgia State, he'll give you a headbutt if you don't watch it. So there's that. I tell you who's not intimidating, I'm sorry to say, Kane Womack. He's just too much of a nice guy. He's a laid-back bro. He's not an intimidating guy, don't you think, Tibbs?
I love the governor. And,
I know you do.
Wishing nothing but success. And I just want to be able to go to Mobile at some point this year so that I can take in all the glory of their brand new stadium and go full Jaguar for the weekend.
Oh, okay. Like you're going to ditch Texas State. Like Texas State used to be kind of your adopted team. Now you're kind of like maybe migrating a little further east to Mobile
for the weekend. But also, you mentioned the angle there of Terry Bowden. Former show guest TK Maxwell broke down all the setups.
I saw that
of everyone on there, and his depiction of Bowden was spot on. Great. He said, typical grandparent FaceTiming grandkids with the camera pointed up, the halo light behind you. And I was like, yeah, spot on. I mean, exactly spot on. Also was not impressed very much with the Ricky Ronnie setup where it was a blurred out, presumably of his office. And as he says, he looks like the kind of guy that would sit you down at the Lowe's on Saturday trying to sell you some gutters.
Ricky Ronnie, I like Ricky Ronnie. I love Ricky Ronnie's taste in dad rock music. but he doesn't entertain on these teleconferences at all.
No. And two, I saw a graphic that came out from Old Dominion. It said 4 sleeps until game time. And I was thinking more like 4 sleeps until your nightmares begin. That's going to be a rough season for ODU. But yeah, and some of the coaches, I like some of them sit in front of like a step and repeat background. They try and make it look, like it's professional. And some guys, they're just in their office. You got Bowden who's just, kind of FaceTiming in with that kind of with that setup that you just mentioned, which was dead on. You're right, dead on, perfect. But I kind of wish that everybody just paid more attention to the detail, get the lighting right, get the background right, make it a little more professional. So. But yeah, and Ricky Ronnie, and there was I think TK mentioned one where you could see the edge of the top of the edge of the step and repeat, how it just looked a little sloppy. You can fix that up. Get your production guys out there and fix it up. Maybe a little pancake makeup, maybe a little third light, a tri-light system. You can do that.
The only thing better was John Summerall. The angle makes it look like he's talking into this ridiculously huge microphone.
Yeah, or maybe it just makes him tiny. He's a very small guy. I don't know.
So with all of that funness, Jeremy,
yeah,
it's time for your plug, promo, and parting shot.
Yeah, this is the worst part because we don't do this for ourselves. We do it for the people, right? Yeah, we do this. Yeah, it's not about us. It's not about Shane Mettlen, Pulitzer Prize winning sports writer for the Daily News Record. It's not about Dusty Thibodeaux and his hiding his scandalous ways from the Houston Astros. No, it's about the people and how much they love Sunbelt sports. So what's my plug promo? You know what my plug is? My plug is our fans, the people listening today in their cars. Maybe they're sneaking it in at work. I'm plugging you guys. You guys, the fans of the Sun Belt, you don't have the massive broadcast contracts like some of the other guys do, but what you have is a big heart for your team, a big rooting interest, and I salute you, fans of the Sun Belt.
Mine's definitely not a salute for the fans, Jeremy.
Oh, wait. So one more thing. Read hellraiser.com. It's available free on the internet.
Yeah, we'll edit that part out. Mine is definitely not a salute to the fans.
Oh, man.
But instead, there was a scary tragedy this past weekend at a Chicago White Sox game where two fans were accidentally shot.
Tragic!
The investigation shows, though, that the alleged shooter was actually one of the victims, having shot herself with a gun snuck in through the metal detectors in the folds of her fat. Hashtag America all day long.
I know. It was like another example of gun violence in public. What are we going to do? It's just some lady trying to sneak in a pistol in her fat folds.
She was reaching for the flask and hit the gun.
Yes.
Oh, Shane, you can't beat that, right?
Well, everybody loves the jerk, right? We're all old enough to
stay away from the cans.
Yeah. Well, every year when the Football Writers Association of America directory comes out, I feel like Steve Martin with the new phone books are here. The new phone books are here. I look up my own name first because I'm that guy. I'm somebody.
Yeah.
I find my friend Dusty Thibodeaux in here. A little disappointed to not see any Jeremy Harper. I just got to ask why Jeremy's not in here. Are you not a real football writer? What's going on?
Listen, first of all, there are two types of people in this business, Shane. There is the football or the sports journalist. That's like you and Tibbs. Interested in the truth, right? Wanting to dig that kernel of insight and bringing it to the people. And it's unfettered by opinion. It's unfettered by anything that's not true, right? And then there's me, the provocateur, the guy that doesn't give a shit about whether a story is true. It's just about perspective, which might be a little bit why head basketball coach Brian Hodgson is a little irritated with me, because sometimes I misquote him. But you don't misquote people, do you, Shane? No, you're a journalist. You're in that book. Just like Thibodeaux. Thibodeaux would never misquote somebody. You know what you guys do? You get out a tape recorder, and then you go back and, oh, is this what he said? Oh, okay, yeah, it's actually a little different. I'm going to do it right. Not me. I pull out everything from my memory, and sometimes it comes out a little bit better than what was actually said, but isn't accurate. And sometimes you get a terse DM in your Twitter about it. All I'm saying is that's the difference between me and you, Shane. You, a Pulitzer Prize winner who's in this book, and me, just some schmuck with a blog.
And that, in the words of Jay Walker, okay, funny man.
I figured you just didn't want me to have your home address.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.